So the open call for projects, as I mentioned, we launched it the 4th. It'll be due the 25th. And this is the opportunity to just get input from the community on what projects exist in the downtown area. And, really there's some specific things that we're looking for from these projects. But we invite anyone who could be a project sponsor. So that means either a building owner or a leasee, anyone who has a path to control of a site that is willing to make an investment in that site. Eligible types of projects are public improvement projects. These would usually be done by the city, maybe the county. They're really more municipal type projects, and they fall in the area of like signage, green infrastructure, maybe public art. It could be streetscape enhancements. So this is usually more municipal because we're talking about right-of-ways, public right-of-ways, but this could be in partnership with a nonprofit or a property owner. The second is private projects, which could be for-profit entities or not-for-profit entities. And these are your construction and renovation projects. So this is where you have a site, either it's vacant or has a building on it, and you're going to construct, expand, or renovate a building on that site. The third is a small project grant fund. Most of the DRIs, if not all of them, have been awarded a $600,000 small project grant fund. And this is just a pot of money that's locally managed to allow for some additional smaller projects to happen after the main award of projects. So it's a little bit of a additional funding to keep the DRI investment going and perhaps address some of the buildings that maybe didn't have what was considered a catalytic or a transformative project, but still could definitely use a facade enhancement or a renovation of the downstairs or a residential unit upstairs. And we're just talking smaller dollar amount renovations. Those basically in the application will say these are the types of things that or we would like to include in a small project grant fund. And that could be, like I said, facade, building renovations, business support, anything of that nature. Normally, these small project grant funds are either administered by the city or a nonprofit in the community. So this is strictly a capital fund. This is not for programming or planning activities. It could be soft costs in relation to a renovation project, a larger renovation project, but it's not going to be for, hey, I want to put together an engineering plan for a building. It would be, hey, I need construction documents for my renovation, which is also funded. Also, we can't include the grant itself cannot fund property acquisition, but the property acquisition can be used as match. So a owner investment into the project. But it will not be reimbursed by the DRI grant. No program related or training related activities. So this is strictly to enhance the built environment of the downtown. So these are some of the things that we're looking for from projects. And again, they don't have to be strictly shovel-ready projects at this juncture because we are looking so far out, but we do want to see that there's a path to site control. If you don't currently own the building, how do you plan to acquire the building in order to start your project in that 2026 timeline? Who is the sponsor of the project? We want to make sure that there's someone behind the project willing to put some money into it and that has some experience doing this type of renovation or capital project. We want to see that there's some path to funding the project. So generally for especially private projects, we're going to be looking for a match. And I think we agreed on 75% for private and nonprofit projects. And we're going to be looking for, okay, how are we going to put that match in? Where's that money going to come from? You don't have to have a bank commitment letter at this point or anything like that, but we want to know like, okay, you're going to go out and get financing and you're confident you can do that. Or there's other grants that you're going to apply for to help fill that gap. So really, again, we're looking for a pathway to implementation at this point that seems reasonable and doable. And key fact, like the project sponsor is key. So we want to see an entity again that's behind it. And it's not just an idea, it's an actual project with someone who's going to implement it. So we're going to be looking at each of these projects. There's a project team that will look at all of the projects to see, okay, what would be the impact? What is that pathway? So in terms of project readiness, what is that pathway to implementation? It doesn't seem real. Does it seem realistic? Does it seem like a cost-effective use of public funds? And not only what is the benefit to that building, but what is the benefit to the larger community for that project happening? And that could be job creation, quality of life, a better experience for tourists and residents, whatever the case may be. But they want to see that there's other benefits, sales tax, bed tax, property tax, whatever the case may be. So again, project deadline for submission, September 25th. We'll be doing a quick eligibility review in the days between that and the 30th. We'll have the public workshop. And then the committee or the project team will make the final determinations in that first week of October. If you're thinking about submitting a project and you have questions, please reach out. I am here to help. I'm ready to walk through it with you. I'm ready to help in any way that I can. We'll be providing one-on-one technical assistance. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'd rather you reach out and ask your questions than lose out on a good project for the application. So please do reach out to me if you have questions about the call for projects. I'm here and ready to help. To submit a project, you can go to the website, download the document. So there's a PDF, but there's also a Word document. It's easier to fill out that way. We want to make it as easy as possible for you. So fill out or download the PDF, take a look through it for the types of information. But when you're ready to submit it or fill it out, go ahead and just use the Word document if you'd like. And then you can submit it by emailing it to me. If you need like a link, if maybe your attachments are too big or whatnot, if you need a link to upload, I can send you that. So whatever you need to get your project in, we'll make it happen. So next I'm going to actually go into the form. So as I mentioned, if you go to canandaiguanewyork.gov/DRI, you'll get to this page. There's information about the DRI, the call for projects, upcoming meetings, the survey will go here. So there's a lot of information on this page. And then on this right section, if you're looking at it on a mobile device, it might be underneath, is where you'll actually find the call for project documents. So again, there's the PDF and the Word document. So if you download the Word document, this is what you'll find. The first few pages, it's 11 pages, but the first 7 or so, 6 or 7 are really background information. So the form itself is not that long. So there's just a lot of background information that we've already started to go over. The deadline, how to submit. If you'd like to submit a hard copy, it can go to the city and they'll get it to us. And then again, please reach out. We're here to help. So reach out, we can have some conversations about filling out this form, what it means, the timelines, etc. So we'll be reviewing and providing assistance right up through the 25th. And then these pages just go through what we already talked about, the timeline, eligible projects, the boundary. So this is just a reference for anybody who either wasn't here or as a reminder if they don't want to watch the video again. It includes the comprehensive plan goals from the city that are relevant to the DRI. Again, we're looking at that connection between the lakefront and downtown, housing, historic preservation, environment, economy. So a lot of the same types of things we talked about with the program directives or objectives. And this is where we get into the form itself. So we're not asking for a super detailed plan here. And we did put in after each question kind of how much information are we looking for. If you go longer, that's fine. But we don't want anyone to think that we're looking for a book here. We're definitely looking for some narrative to understand the project and understand the path of the project. But we definitely don't need like finished construction drawings if you don't have them yet. So don't be afraid to submit if you're not ready to go tomorrow. So we'll ask some questions, or this is just about the project sponsor. So what is the entity behind the project and that entity's experience with development? If you're not familiar with it, just list, I'm working with this architect, I'm working with this engineer, I'm working with so-and-so who's going to help me through this process so that we can just see that there's some expertise at the table for the project. And then I want to just ask you a few things about the project itself. What is the address? This is really, are you the owner of the property? If not, tell us, what is your connection to the property? Are you leasing it and you have permission from the landlord? Are you planning to buy it? Are you like, what is that connection? Just so that we can see that there's some reasonable way that you would have permission to do the project at some point. The type of project it is. A project title, this is really just a shorthand, like how we can refer to your project. We really want it to be short and succinct. So it could be the property address, it could be like renovation of and a property address, or something like that. So like just something short, sweet that we can refer to the project as. What are the existing conditions of that site? So, is the building vacant? Has it been, is there deterioration that's occurring? Is it in great shape, but it just needs some modernization? Just kind of give us a sense of what the building is like now, and then tell us about the project that you're planning to do. And you don't have to answer these questions specifically. These are the types of questions that we want to see. So when submitting, it could be that you just answer each one, or you could come down here and just give us a few paragraphs about what you're planning to do. So we want to know, are you renovating the building? If so, what does that entail? Are you doing windows, facade, putting residential upstairs? Is it completely commercial? What's the plan to improve that existing building? A preliminary budget table. We know that this is going to change. We're talking a year and a half out. The needs for the building are going to change. The costs of things are going to change, but this is for the purpose of the application, us being able to say, okay, here's 12 projects with a $12 million grant ask, and that leverages another $50 million worth of, it's just to really give us a point to say to the state in the application, we have projects, we can spend the $10 million. These are legitimate projects. And one thing to know is that the projects that are in the application may or may not end up being the projects that are in the strategic investment plan and ultimately end up getting funded. So there could be other projects that come into play during that strategic investment plan process. But this is a really good starting point to make sure that the city is aware of your project, that the state is aware of your project. So if you are going to be a part of that strategic investment plan, there's a track there. And then this section is just telling us how your project aligns with the DRI program goals and the city's comprehensive plan goals. Just kind of explaining the current status of the project. What have you done? What haven't you done? How long it would take to complete the project once it starts. And what are the potential roadblocks that, we can start thinking about now and potentially trying to mitigate before we even get to that point of the strategic investment plan and an award. And then here's some other things. It's really helpful to have visuals, especially when we get down to that meeting or the public workshop and the actual application. So even if that's a picture of the building as it is now, or the project as it is now, even if you don't have renderings, it's good to have something to show or a visual to go with the project. So it could just be pictures of what it looks like now, if you don't have any of this other future documentation. And that's it. And then you just sign it and you submit it.